The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
The man who took Luffy to his absolute limit, and a former member of CP9, now being a part of CP0, the strongest of all Cypher Poles and the guardians of the Celestial Dragons. So he's definitely gotten more powerful over the past 2 years, but just how strong is our little leopard right now? And honestly, being a part of CP0 isn't much hype anymore due to their showcasing in Wano, where honestly they look like chumps. And now they're going to Egghead Island, where they'll most likely have a collision course with the Straw Hats once again, but this time they are a Emperor crew and things have changed. So I'm here to remind people just how much of a monster Rob Lucci really is, as well as what his future role in the story is, as things might not be exactly how it seems with the leopard. But of course, for more videos like this, don't forget to hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, subscribe and click the bell icon to stay notified. Otherwise, I might have to send a little leopard to your crib, and I promise you're not gonna like it. But without further ado, let's talk about the world's greatest assassin, Rob Lucci. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Is Lucci still a major threat to Luffy? And honestly, the answer is no, not really. Luffy is way out of his league. It's not that Lucci's weak, it's just that Luffy has gotten too damn strong at this point. But that doesn't mean Lucci still isn't a threat to the rest of the Straw Hats or the world at large. But as per usual, let's look at the origin of Rob Lucci to better understand just how strong he is. Well, he was raised and bred to be the world's greatest assassin by the government, and at age 13, killed 500 of the kingdom's soldiers, hostages, and the pirate crew single-handedly, and ended up becoming the strongest agent in CP9 history, where even Kuma and Vice Admiral Onigumo had high praise to him to the point of legend, and was once considered a rival to Who's Who. Lucci is very devoted to the world government, where he even has scars in the shape of the government flag on his back. He believes in dark justice and necessary evil, where he'll try to preserve the balance of the world by any means necessary. And this leads to the greatest mission of his life, discovering the blueprints of Pluton and capturing Nico Robin. We've all watched Water 7 in Enies Lobby, and we all know how that story goes. But what most people don't know is the cover story that followed after this incident, where the remaining members of CP9 helped to recover Lucci and pay off his hospital bills. And it seems like Lucci and CP9 were turning a new leaf as they eventually went up against the Marines and protected the citizens that helped Lucci and them, and thus declared war on the government until 2 years later, where they ended up working with the government again, but this time as CP0. It's strange because the cover story was showing CP9 in a more human way and not like these monsters like they were portrayed, and more like a family growing together as they're trying to help their friend. The cover story proved that these guys all have redeemable qualities, even Lucci to an extent. The cover story literally ends with the government hunting down CP9, so you wonder what happened during the 2 years for them to reconcile and end up joining CP0. On one hand, you could say the government realized just how much of an asset Lucci is to them. Rather than him being an enemy, they want him to be their ally. And Lucci was raised by the government to basically be their killing machine. So it makes sense why they would make a deal and link back together, but things might not be exactly how they seem. So why would you go back to the people that once betrayed and even tried to kill you? Well, the big theory is Lucci actually isn't with them, and he actually used his skills to infiltrate them and destroy the government from the inside using their own skills that they taught him. That to me makes a lot more sense and would be way more interesting for the character of Lucci and the story itself. Not that they're siding with the Revs or even the Straw Hats, but more so the former CP9 agents might end up doing their own thing that's not officially associated with the world government, but maybe like an assassins for hire, but they're here just getting their revenge for what happened 2 years ago. So they're just playing the long game and working with the government until it's the perfect time to strike, which leads us to modern time, where they're heading to Egghead to kill all the vegapunks. That's gonna lead them to a collision course with the Straw Hats, and we get an Enies Lobby Part 2. But the question is, will they succeed, or are they once again out of their depth? Well, Lucci is now a part of CP0, making him definitively stronger than he was back in CP9, because CP0 is considered the strongest of all the Cypher Pole agents. Members of CP0 are all masters of Rokushiki as well as proficient in Haki, even though Lucci was already a master at Rokushiki and perfecting it back when he fought Luffy, even discovering a 7th technique, the Rokugan, that surpasses all of the other 6, and as a reminder, those 6 are Geppo, Tekai, Rankyaku, Soru, Shigan, and Kamiye. Learning these techniques give you complete mastery over one's body, and using Life Return allowing him to manipulate his muscle mass, he was able to access a 4th Zoan form. It wouldn't surprise me if he managed to awaken his Devil Fruit as well, giving him enhanced physical attributes like durability, endurance, and physical strength. Add Haki to the mix and you have a recipe for disaster, where Rokugan was already similar to Ryo, emitting shockwaves that destroys the body from the inside. So combining his mastery of Rokushiki and Haki, Lucci is definitely a very dangerous man. Now, being a part of CP0 makes Lucci stand among the elite, as CP0 is considered the strongest force within the world government outside of the admirals, of course. Dragon admits that Cypher Pole has gotten stronger over the last few years and they should be careful, and even managed to make the Emperor Blackbeard and his crew retreat, even though that doesn't really mean much because he'll run away if things don't go according to plan. And they say the masked warriors are the strongest within CP0, and you can see Lucci with a mask from time to time, so he's definitely a part of that illustrious group. Unfortunately, Lucci hasn't done much of anything post time skip, but he has been involved in a lot of the movies where he's usually paired up with Sabo, who can go toe to toe against one of the admirals. And Oda did have a hand in writing these movies, so that's pretty big praise for the Leopard. But how far is Lucci's ceiling when going up against one of the Emperors, the Straw Hat Pirates? Well, his best comparison is with Who's Who was once said to be a rival to Rob Lucci, and on paper should be stronger than him as he ate the ancient Zoan, the saber-toothed tiger. He was capable of fighting Jinbei and even created his own versions of some of the Rokushiki techniques that not even Jinbei was aware of. But this is Rob Lucci, who is considered the golden child, so benefit of the doubt, I have to say that Lucci is probably stronger than even Who's Who. So judging off of that, as well as him being paired up with Sabo in the movies, who's comparable to that of Ace, who once fought Jinbei for 5 days straight and end up in a draw. So on paper, I think it's fair to say that he's at least on Jinbei's level, which is pretty good for Lucci as he's gotten that strong over the course of 2 years. Lucci is a formidable fighter and he's the best at what he does. He had some of the best Tekai in the series. Add Haki into the mix and this guy's a tank. But I don't think it's enough to defeat the 3 commanders of the Straw Hat Pirates. Not that he's weak, but these guys are just too damn strong, which is a good thing. It shows just how far these guys have gotten over the years. So yeah, around Jinbei and second commander level seems about fair for Lucci, and honestly it wouldn't surprise me if he's genuinely with the government, as again he was raised by them. But based on the cover story, it seemed like him and the boys wanted to just live a peaceful life back in their hometown and oversee the future of the new Cypher Pole agents. We shouldn't underestimate Lucci, as he's very dangerous and has gotten a lot more powerful, and the government have definitely succeeded in creating the perfect killing machine, as Rob Lucci is most definitely the world's greatest assassin.